What if I told you Python doesn't actually have to be slow? And no, I don't just mean after you rewrite half your code in C. I mean fast, while still looking and feeling like Python. That's what Mojo is trying to do. We're going to look at Mojo so you know if it's something you should care about right now or if it's something you can safely ignore. I have videos dropping all the time. Be sure to subscribe. Welcome back, guys, for another episode of Code with Josh. For obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys here. Now, Mojo is a programming language that looks like Python, feels like Python, but it's designed to run at systems level speed. And that last part here is the whole game, because Python usually is interpreted. Mojo is compiled. Mojo is built on top of LLVM, which is the same compiler infrastructure used like languages like C, C++, and Rust. So instead of running the way Python normally runs, Mojo can do lower level things like memory control, static typing, and aggressive optimizations. And Mojo is intentionally compatible with Python. So the syntax feels familiar, control flow feels familiar. If you're a Python developer, this is going to feel somewhat like it. Now, before we code, I want you to hold one thought in your head. Mojo is not Python 2.0.
All right, guys, here I am in VS Code. Now, I've already installed Mojo. You can do this through the modular package. I did this via terminal with curl, okay? And then you will need to go over here and type in, I think I just did Mojo, yeah, the extension right here. Okay, then all of our files now end in .mojo instead of Python. Now, there are a lot of similarities here. So for example, we can use def still to define a function. This is going to be the entry point for the Mojo code. Now, it needs to be stored in main. It looks for this and it's going to execute this. We need this as an entry point. We can still use print, and I'm just going to say here, subscribe to Code with Josh. Please do if you guys haven't. And then before we run this, we do want to give just what is this outputting. It's just like a Python type hinting, the same thing. Okay, to run this, we can't, for example, in Python, I would just go main and I would run it. You can see it's not even going to work. Okay, Mojo run main.mojo. And you can see right there, subscribe to Code with Josh. Okay, awesome. Now, additionally, I can define these functions in here. And this is just a dynamic function we're using def. Mojo has compiled functions where I can say main, I'm going to say this again, but we're using fn. This is stricter. This is going to compile it. This is going to optimize your functions to run faster. We're just going to go testing here. I'm going to turn off the first one. I should only have one entry point per page. Okay, I'm going to go Mojo run main.mojo. Now we can't see the difference here, right? It's just printing off stuff, but this is going to compile it when we define a function using fn. Now, excellent. Let's look at another example here. So I'm going to define a main function again. Okay, I'm going to say here none. And inside here, I can do implicit typing. So I can just define variables as we normally would in Python. Y is equal to x times 2, right? This is all 2. Where's my x? X times 2. And then we can just print off, let's just do double y. Okay, this works. When we want to use explicit typing, this is going to optimize not only clarity, but also the performance of Mojo. We define variables with var, kind of like JavaScript in a way, and we specify the type of data. I use var as well as a type hinting here to do that. Okay, this is going to optimize everything. I could take my existing score, we could add whatever we want to it, and then I could just print off here and I could say score. Okay, again, this is going to optimize it using var, and otherwise it is not. I'm just in def main, right? If we wanted to take this a step further, I can compile this. We're going to say Mojo run main.mojo. Excellent. Okay, it's going to execute the code still, right? Now let's just do another super basic example here. I can create, right? So our entry point is always going to be main. All right, but I can create other functions here. If I keep it super basic, I'll create a compiled function just to greet, okay, basic stuff. It's going to take a name. Now, when we use fn and we're giving it parameters, we need to specify for optimization the type of data as well as what the function is going to return. Without this, it's no bueno. Okay, I'm just going to return here and I'm going to say hello and plus, because it's the same type of data, we need that name. Now that we have that, I'm just going to define an entry point here. Okay, we're going to say main, we're going to say var. Let's just create a message calling the first compiled function, hello Python nerds. And we're just going to print off our message. Let's try to give this a run. We're going to say here mojo run main.mojo. Excellent. Okay, we have two compiled functions. The first one's taking those type annotations, speeds it up. Compiled entry point with using var. Now, very similarly to Python, okay, I don't need to create a compiled function. I just need that entry point. But what we can do here, okay, is I can still use anything with Python. I'm creating a variable total. This type of data is int. I need to set that if I'm going to use var. I'm using var. I need to specify the type of data. We can still use loops. Anything that's usually just built into Python, it's going to work, right? So super basic loop here. What would be the most basic one I could do? Let's just say if I is modulo 2, so if it's an even number, then we're going to take our total, we're going to plus equal I to it. That's easy. We can print off here added even, and we're going to drop in I. When our loop cuts off, let's just say total evens, and we're going to put here total. Okay, so I mean, I have an entry point. It's not compiled in any way. I'm just trying to show here that we can still just use the normal Python things. Excellent. There we go. Okay, so it's still dynamic. If I want to compile it, I can swap that off to FN. It's going to do its job. Now, something really cool here that I'm going to end with is we can still use Python modules here. This is huge. I can say from Python, I want to import Python. Okay, I'm going to create us an entry point. Let's just compile everything. And I'm going to say raises. Raises goes when we're using Python code specifically like this. Raises is going to help catch those Python errors in our compiled functions. I'm going to create a variable for the random module. So I'm going to take Python and I'm going to say import module. This is going to be random. Okay. Then from here, I can generate a score. So I can now take random. I've imported it. It's a module. I can use things like randant, right? But we can't do this directly with score. What we're going to have to say here instead is this is going to be an integer. I'm passing it in from Python, and we're going to say random.randant 0 to 100. That'll generate it. We can just print off then random score, and we're going to drop in our score, just like that. Okay, so I've generated this random number. We could even use this at a later point. So again, let me just take what I have here. Let's just add two of these together. Okay, so we have int. I can take my variable, right? I don't need to use var again. We've already defined it once, and I can just treat it like a normal operation. Okay, so I'm going to say here score with bonus, and we're just going to drop in here our score. Okay. Let's give this a run. So mojo run main.mojo. Excellent. Look at that. Okay. We're now importing Python modules that we can use in our compiled Mojo functions to help speed everything up. Okay. So really cool. This isn't replacing Python anytime soon. Okay. We are just trying to examine the two. Now, the final takeaway here, right? I've covered a lot of things, right? Just remember, I can still import modules, okay? FN, it represents a compiled function. If we're using Python, I'm going to raise the error that could occur. And var is also going to help optimize and speed it up. Now, typically var, we are going to specify the type of data that it's going to be. This also increases the speed when it compiles. When you define any static functions like add, for example, anything that goes in here, you have to give it those type hintings. Okay, it helps with compiling it, optimization, everything, right? So return like the most basic one in the book here, a plus b. Okay, we have to use those.
Python is amazing. I literally make my living teaching it, but it does have a ceiling. The moment you start doing heavy numerical computations, tight loops, or anything performance critical, Python slows down and fast. So what do? Usually we lean on things like NumPy, Pandas, C extensions, or even Rust bindings. And those do work, but they also add a lot of friction because now you're juggling multiple languages, build systems, and mental models just to try and make Python go faster. And if you ever tried to do that in a real project, you know what it feels like. It's not just hard, it's mentally expensive. Mojo exists to collapse that stack, and instead of writing Python plus C, Mojo is aiming for one language that can scale from high-level Python-like code all the way down to hard-level performance. Instead of rewriting Python plus C together, Mojo is aiming for one language that can scale from high-level Python-like code all the way down to hardware-level performance. But that doesn't mean it's for everybody, and this is where people misunderstand it. Mojo is not replacing Python, and it's definitely not beginner-friendly like Python, although there are similarities. What stays familiar is the syntax. What changes is the responsibility. In Mojo, you're more explicit. You think about types, you think about mutability, and you think about memory. That's the trade-off for speed. Now, I'll be honest, some of this will feel weird at first. If you're used to Python doing everything dynamically, Mojo is going to feel strict. You can't just throw anything anywhere and hope it works. You need to be more intentional about this. But that is also the point. Mojo forces you to think like a performance engineer without abandoning Python syntax. And that's powerful, but it's also not something you need in every single project. So let's be real about it. Mojo's biggest strength is performance. You get near C-level speed with Python-like syntax. That's wild. And it's designed for modern workloads, especially AI, machine learning, and numerical computing. The downside here is also real because it's pretty new, it's young, the ecosystem is small, tooling is evolving, and it's not a drop-in replacement for everyday Python scripts or web apps. Mojo is for Python developers who have hit a performance wall and want to push past them. If you're writing scripts, APIs, or automation, Python is still perfect, don't change that. But if you're building computer-heavy systems or you're trying to glue things together, Mojo starts to make a lot of sense. The real question isn't, is Mojo better than Python? The question is more like, do you need what Mojo is selling? So no, Mojo isn't here to kill Python. If you want a deeper Mojo series where we build something real and benchmark it properly, drop it in the comments. And if this helped you understand where Mojo fits into your workflow, hit that like, subscribe. I'll see you next time, Python crew.